find enough space for stuff.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, like, the games always had a way for you to know where
There
the
we go.
Pokemon was. Like, you could always, like, search in your look at your Pokedex and be like locations, and it would tell you where you could find the Pokemon. It
So,
was just a
quick
matter of
aside, guys. Our mics were off for the last 7 minutes. None of us had audio.
Gavin,
Yeah, that's on me.
how does
That's on me.
this keep happening to you?
Because I keep switching profiles, and the profiles are funky. I have 3 different accounts that I have been streaming to, and it makes things very jank. Yeah, I can turn myself down at least and make them. They're maxed out, but I can also put a filter on to add gain. But I'll leave it for now. Either way, sorry about that. Okay, quick recap where we're at. 5th episode of Hyperfixation, playing with power, magazines, books, gaming paraphernalia for information specifically. We are not talking the Power Glove as much as we nodded to its existence in our title.
That'll be another day.
That'll be another one.
Nobody should nod to the Power Glove.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't do it.
Acknowledge its existence.
Now you're playing with power. Yeah, so we've got that as our topic. This is episode 5. I've got me, Gavin, third year computer science student. We've got Branden.
Vessel student.
And then we've got Lily, friend of mine. Student of the world.
Student of the world.
All right. We just started. We were talking. The start off here was the Pokemon special edition Pikachu special edition perfect guide. We'll just clip the beginning of this video out. It's fine.
Versus Books, who made really, really good guidebooks.
Very big, very chunky, 148 pages, probably 146 if you include cover.
I mean, a big part of it is that they have like the full Pokedex in the back as well.
Let me try this. I think that might help out a little bit. Get some more volume in here. Yeah, let's try that. I'll turn you both up to 110 in my Discord.
I will promise not to get extraordinarily loud.
One thing I can also do here is I can add gain. Got it. I'll just add about 4 gain. Let's try 4 here. Okay, you guys want to talk? Just test that.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Let me put you up a little bit higher.
Okay.
Let's put you at 6. It's okay. It's okay, guys. We're not the anime club. We're not gonna blow out the speakers.
Yeah. No. Did that actually happen?
They were a little bit. They were a little bit. How's that, Leo? Is that a bit better?
Ew.
Challenge accepted.
Oh no! Don't do that, Lily. I'll be very sad if you blow up my speakers. I put you guys up to 110 in Discord each, and then I also popped up the desktop audio here with the gain push on it for you. Hey, yeah. The other thing we were talking about here is we talked about how apparently EVs and IVs were in the first game, but they served a different function.
Mm-hmm.
So they did the same thing, however, they were calculated in a different way.
Yeah, it wasn't like just fight the same Pokemon over and over again, or
I believe so.
And
I don't know the full details of how it worked in first gen, but it did work slightly different in the first 2 gens.
Yeah.
Did we have traits, or did that come in later too?
No, that's later. I don't even think Gold and Silver had those yet.
Gold and Silver did have abilities. That's where
they did. Okay.
No. Gold and Silver introduced items.
Natures.
They introduced items, and then Sapphire and Ruby, I believe, introduced abilities.
Yeah. Did Gold and Silver start the Natures thing because of the breeding and whatnot? I can't remember. That's technically off topic. As much as I would love to delve further into this, because especially Gold and Silver, those are my favorite games. But yeah, mostly so far I've been gushing about this magazine because it was so detailed and it provided like the percentages for routes about what Pokemon will come in, and because it includes the yellow edition of the Pokemon original trio, it does specify like certain things are different. Like example, where I'm at in the magazine looking at right now, it talks about the final battle, and it's got like what the teams look like between each for like if you are playing red blue, like if you took which starter you took slightly changes the team, mostly just like what their final start will be. But then it also shows like the different versions of Gary's team in yellow looks like compared to
Okay.
that one. So
Interesting.
yeah, it's very detailed. It's very, very cool.
I have an important question.
Yeah.
Is somewhere in this magazine gonna tell you that Mew's under the truck?
Hold on. There is a secrets page near the back.
Okay, I'm going to the back.
Okay, the rare secret.
Oh yeah, when you used to pay for advertisements.
Oh yeah. Okay, it doesn't tell you about how to get Mew because it's obviously I don't think they ever actually managed to get it. They probably tested it.
That was like an old wives' tale, right? Where it was like Mew's under the truck.
Oh yeah, that's classic. Like
It was the playground rumor.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Half this stuff here.
They did say like about you had to go into like a GameStop or whatever to get it or something. What did they bring their Game Boys and Pokemon game packs to various Nintendo events? Yeah. But they talk about missing No and the M block, getting your infinite items and other fun glitches.
Interesting.
Oh, so it does talk about missing No.
Yep.
Really?
No, that's how I found out about it.
Oh, the fact that I'm missing No, that's really funny to me. I'm just like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very thorough book about like what you can do in the game.
yeah, no, that's really cool.
Yeah, like I said, I love this magazine, and I'm kind of surprised that younger me never like try to get more versus books to like for other games like I got, because it's just like they have the list of all the items, they have their sell and buy price where you can get them, and at the end, one of my favorite things, Coliseum strategies.
Oh, it touches on Pokemon Coliseum.
Like it's talking about like the best teams you can make for going. I don't think it goes into like Coliseum specifically. It's just talking about like making good teams. Or wait, oh yeah, no, I think it is because it talks about like the Yellow Petite Cup and things like that.
Interesting.
So cool. But I'm actually not surprised that they do touch on Pokemon Coliseum because that was one of the biggest driving factors of like early Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty much if you not Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Pokemon. Because if you had one of the Pokemon games, it's most likely you had a Coliseum game. And I know Gavin and I could touch on Coliseum for
Coliseum,
hours just by the sheer amount of time that we played it.
Yeah.
I'm so salty we don't actually have like a new Coliseum from within the last decade.
I know, it's sad.
It's
a new new
who's
Pokemon Coliseum and new Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah.
To be fair, Little Cup and whatnot were Stadium, not Coliseum.
I feel like we literally talked about this during our last podcast, that Pokemon's when we talked about gaming, so not the soda one, but the one before that, where we literally talked about how like the fact we just got a new Pokemon Snap, and the fact we haven't gotten like a new Pokemon Stadium is insane. Like, just give me Mario Party, but with Pokemon games. Nobody cares about the actual combat side. Just give me the mini games. That's all I want.
Right.
And then we also talked about how what's the other thing that we talked? It's fine, dude. Pokemon Stadium's so fun. That's all that matters. All right, so what do we got here? We got Secret Dungeon. Then we got this huge decks in. That's pretty cool.
Dude, very like really thorough. Like I have to imagine like this is kind of where Bulbapedia and like Cerebi got like their inspiration for like doing this stuff. Because
I wouldn't be surprised. At least with Bulbapedia, they actually cover a lot of the same color schemes as well.
Oh, here you go. There's your secrets. The rarest Pokemon, Mew, so it does tell you where Mew is. Infinite items in the secret and missing now. Oh, so cool. Yeah, that's silly.
So cool.
All right.
Now this one last thing. This is probably like my favorite bit in there where it talks about the Coliseum strategies. It's got 3 teams. Burton's teams, Taylor's teams, and Casey's team.
Yeah.
And they're just like, these are teams we use in Coliseum, like, and we'll talk about like why these guys are so good. But I bloody love Casey's team at the end there because it's so funny. I don't it's like super far in the back. Like you have the ads in the back, and it's just like the last page before like the ads straight up start.
Okay.
Um,
God, remember paying for ads? Christ. Oh yeah,
yeah,
Coliseum
right.
Strategies, right?
Yeah.
Horns, Baden, Taylor's. Taylor's just.
Oh, I totally forgot they had the combat type chart in the back too, where it has the weaknesses and strengths
Yeah,
and
I
all
mean,
that.
this is a
Can we look at how accurate that is?
Oh, to now? Oh
Yeah.
God.
Well, I mean, for the time, it was very, very much so.
What page is it?
It's like go to like the very end. It's like the second to last.
Oh yeah, right
The
here. I got it.
important thing to see is whether Psychic is actually weak or strong against Ghost in this book.
It is. It can't hit.
No, yeah.
It
Oh,
can't
no.
hit.
It doesn't
Ghost
say.
could not hit
anything.
normal. Or sorry, normal couldn't hit Ghost, and Psychic couldn't hit Ghost.
No, Psychic could hit Ghost.
So that's the thing, is Ghost was supposed to be super effective, but they messed up with the coding in the early games.
Yeah.
And it ended up being the other way around.
Looking at this, and it says the only thing that Ghost is super effective to is Ghost type. Everything else, the only thing it does is literally like when it's a flying Pokemon hit by a ground move. Literally just like cannot hit.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, in the first game, there was no pure Ghost, so
No.
you couldn't really test it.
But it just meant that
Ghost Poison was the only one.
Was Ghastly Ghost Poison by default at the start?
Yep.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
All
So
three of them were Ghost Poison.
I guess the important thing to consider there is that that's mostly irrelevant then.
Yeah.
What else?
But I mean,
Ghost moves couldn't hit normal Pokemon either, though. Ghost could not hit normal Pokemon or fighting Pokemon.
Normal and Ghost were antithesis to each other.
That one you could test. You could use a Ghastly on like a Rattata.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, this chart is stupid accurate, and I guess like the only reason you could miss like the Psychic and Ghost thing is because there were no pure Ghosts to test that on.
It is very funny that the only can't hit that we kept around was Ground and Flying. Every other one is gone.
No, Normal and Ghost still can't hit each other.
And then I thought it was just not very
normal. I think Ghost can hit Normal now, but Normal cannot hit Ghost.
I don't think it can. I don't think that's changed. I think that's
always
been the thing.
I know Normal cannot hit Ghost. That is absolutely correct.
Yes, that's for certain. But I'm pretty sure Ghost still can't hit Normal. Then again, it's the last game I played was Arceus, and I did not battle a lot in that one.
Ghost can't hit Normal. You are correct.
Yeah.
And Dragon cannot hit Fairy?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a few still, especially with the introduction.
Yeah, no, there's still can't hit things. You have to be real careful.
Can't hit ground. Okay, my bad. Yeah. I think it's just my head narrative is wrong.
And that's fair. Like, especially if you don't play a lot of the games.
Well, I
think that pulls back to like nostalgia and other stuff. A lot of what we remember from being very, very young.
Yeah.
So like we have these fantastical ideas about stuff. However, sometimes it's a false memory.
Well, you want to know what it is? It's my brain goes, they're invincible to this. So I'm like, okay, Steel is invincible to like whatever, right? To poison, for example. But then I was like, as a separate thing from invincible, there's can't hit. Because like one's about taking the hit and like absorbing it, one's about not being hit, right? So like fighting, punching a ghost, it goes right through. That made sense. Ground can't hit flying because they're not on the ground, and like levitate and stuff like that. So I think like I built this separate narrative in my head that can't hit and invincible were different things.
Yeah.
Even though they are explicitly the same thing.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's just like, it doesn't work. That's all it is in the end.
It's the game is just like 0 damage, and I'm just like painting this huge like narrative in my head because the game is like 3 pixels tall.
Well, no, and I mean that's what you got to do back in the day.
All right, Lily, do you have a magazine you want to look at quickly?
Unfortunately, I don't have like a PDF form of it, but I did send you a link. It's to an eBay thing.
Beautiful. Oh, Zelda Story of Sea.
So way back when, I have fond memories of this because I had Seasons and my brother had Oracles, and they were 2 games that functioned side by side. And for you to get like the true ending and beat the super dungeon, you needed to be there on both games. However, the magazine would have like so it would touch on both games at the same time. So it would actually have like pictures that have like the parallels of like this is how it looks here, but it looks like this here, and you would do this puzzle this way here, but then this is how it would get done here. And it was a really interesting magazine because it's showing the parallel of two identical games that have very drastic differences between them.
This is not that, right? The one I opened here?
This is the game, but I believe this is the game
This is the manual. Yeah, here, let's... That's also manual.
If I had time, I would have actually gone because I still have the physical copy of this. Well, I should be specific. My brother still has it.
Interesting. Yeah. So Lily, any interesting secrets and stuff in that thing, or?
So cool looking.
There's a couple of different secrets. It was a bit more of a strategy guide, but it does touch on like again some mildly like hidden mechanics and other stuff like that in the game. Nothing as cool as like the missing no secret, but it is actually where you get told how to enter the final dungeon. In the base game, there is the final dungeon, and when you get to a certain point, it's like a mysterious power blocks your way, and it never really explains what you have to do.
If this has all the information.
However, with the power manual, it's like, and now you get to see the real way to get through here. You have to attach both games. And just in general, I absolutely love this magazine because little me was not the smartest when it came to figuring stuff out. So having this that I could like reference back to was such an important part of me learning how to do this stuff essentially.
Funniest thing is like there's that huge book, right? And then when we look at this little booklet here, right? This was like the classic for Game Boy games as well as like the old NES games and SNES games, right? These little booklets.
It was pretty classic for really up until maybe the last like 10 years of game development.
I mean, the booklets just kept getting smaller and smaller. I think around PlayStation 2 and GameCube and stuff like that, you started just getting like the little 2-pager.
Yeah, the little slips.
Depends on the game, but yes.
Yeah, like this one here, it literally has like, isn't like the first time Link's name is actually iterated is strictly through a manual, I think.
I believe so.
Or like on the back of the game, like his name's never used in game because there's no like actual like text in the game overlay stuff.
Oh, because you put in your own name.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So like this thing's like these are classic little secrets here. Secret passwords, stuff like that. After completing the Oracle of Ages, you can. It's there.
I miss secret codes.
Code. God. This cat is wings.
I love it. I know. His little like animal companions are so good. Moosh.
Secrets here. Tips for adventure. Master the power of seasons. Cool. Fighting. That's so cool. So much random cool stuff that used to be hidden out of a game. And then nowadays when we look at that and like they have yeah, no, absolutely. The flying cat, it was happy before some Fairy Tale did it, yeah. No, so what I was saying was the funniest thing about like these manuals is we talk about them here as in like, yeah, this is really cool, it's got a bit of a charm to it. And then nowadays, if a game did this, we run it through the ringer, right? Like, the best example I can think of was Destiny. The first Destiny game had all of the lore on a separate, like, well, you had to link your Destiny account and you'd open up, like, into the browser and stuff like that. for the compendium, the lore compendium there. None of it was actually like in game, and like we ran it through the ringer for that because we're like, that's bad, and then like this little book, and we're like, that's charming.
And actually, to kind of like touch on that, a very weird duality is shocker. Let's take a look at League of Legends for a
Sure.
moment. League of Legends really doesn't have very much in-game lore. In-game, you have your quick little character blurbs,
Voice lines.
and you have your occasional events that touch on lore. But those are far and few between. And nobody bats an eye. And their entire lore repository is on a secondary website. But I think that is like the functional difference of what type of games they are.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like
say it's
Destiny
genre,
is
right?
an MMO. So MMOs have this expectation that like the lore is something that you'll figure out and will grow as you play it. Versus League of Legends, which is just a combat stadium where like where would you put the lore besides a secondary menu?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like,
I mean, yeah, it's like how Magic the Gathering, like, it has huge lore, and there you can go to like their website and you can actually read like through what each what would you call them, arc?
yeah, each block.
Each block, yeah. You can read through all the stories for each block and find out like what is actually happening to the characters in the story. And I'm like, that's really cool. I like this like little insight into this game that doesn't really need a story. I don't really need it to enjoy the game, but cool. I can understand like these characters that I'm playing cards with more.
Yeah, I mean, MTG started adding in those lore specific cards too now, which is really nice, where you actually get tidbits of the story. Just quick back to League for Leo here. The times where League adds like a new character and has to retcon their lore because it didn't work for that character specifically is so funny. But the one thing that I think that's funny about
like
that is
the huge difference of old lore versus new lore.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that's funny about that specifically is that nowadays League has they've stopped retconning as strongly, like with oh, I can't remember her name, but the girl who uses the water whip. She's from a new region. That's like we knew there was stuff out there, so that one was just like, yeah, it's over there. It's the same island that Diego is from. Technically, it's like that area, that continent, but it's like a separate island in that area. So it's like, yep, that's fine. And then like, oh god, just remember old League lore?
Old League lore was the most hilarious struggle.
Oh.
So to quick explain for people, League of Legends was this the Academy of War, where they had to essentially bring these high caliber figures, and so they didn't destroy Runeterra.
Yeah.
And they fell into a writing trap of, we made a new character. Why are they here?
Yeah. Because like this is the old map here, right? And essentially the way it worked out was the Institute of War was in the center of it, and it had these super all-powerful beings called the Summoners, who were us. You were playing the Summoners, so we were characters in lore. And essentially, they would you'd pick up champions, literally like they are the champions for those countries, and they would settle their disputes in the League of Legends, which was in the Institute of War.
Yeah, and they did it that way.
The Holy Grail War.
Yeah, pretty much. Essentially, it's like Fate. Quite literally
Fate.
like the Fate series.
There's these old magazines and stuff.
They ran into this really awkward situation of, like, when the game was 50 characters, it would make sense. But they started introducing different races, different species, people from different areas, people that were, like, really high caliber, but they weren't problematic, so why are they brought here?
Yeah. They definitely ran into some issues that made it, like, so I like, the new lore is definitely, like, this lore works when you're just starting a game out. You're like, yeah, why are these fighting? I don't know. They're representing different cities. Easy. And then like, that's fine. They look cool. They got cool kits. It doesn't matter. It's mostly about gameplay. I mean, Dota doesn't even name their characters. So the comparison of what inspired League literally did not have character names. So this one, they're just like, well, we'll give them a basic narrative. And then they're like, oh, Craig, we rid ourselves into a corner. So there's like, revamp the whole world, and the new world's way better for it.
And honestly,
Hey, we got Arcane out of this, so
Absolutely.
I'm happy.
I'm in the middle of watching Arcane right now, and I'm loving it.
It's so good, and it's based on my 2 favorite characters when I first started League. So,
but I suppose this is just like a design difference between like way back when versus now. Back then, they had like such solid ideas of like how things interacted, and like moving over to look at like Runeterra. I know I keep using Riot IPs, but they have a phenomenal world to work with. And with that in mind, Runeterra does something very, very unique and special. It mixes the like every single card has detailed card art that you can look at the full art for. So there's a lot of information that you can infer and storylines you can infer. Looking at like one of the basic Demacian characters, there is what's her name? Cythria?
Cythria, she's on 5 cards and she ages throughout like 4 different ages throughout the card set. It's really cool.
And they're all like different parts of her timeline. And that's not unheard of in card games. Like a lot of card games will do that. And they use like contextual visual stimuli nowadays. However, Runeterra also has included like little narrative blurbs with each card, the card arts that you can infer through. It's where you get all the information for the side characters, and then there's interactions with the voice lines. So when specific characters meet specific characters, they will make comments and quips. There are characters that are time-based, and like if you play 2 of them, they'll be like, "Oh no, I've made a mistake and I've accidentally pulled me from the future," and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can see Cythria here.
There's such cool narrative storytelling nowadays that looking back at the like pseudo archaic styles of pen and paper is super familiar to us because we grew up in those old times, but it's not intuitive. It's not intuitive to people who haven't really grown up through those older eras, where a lot of the learning of story and whatnot is this like contextual based instead of the solid form.
What you're saying, Lily, is what's that meme where it's like, I blame the youth, or I'm not the problem, it's the youth, or whatever?
No, there's no problems here. It is purely a matter of like perspective and learned storytelling.
Well, I mean, a lot of like the music, the art, the stories of old games were all limited by the technology of the time. And now we've gotten to a point where we can have little discs that have hours upon hours upon hours of like graphics and story and voice acting. So it's like it's kind of like, you know, you can like flesh this whole narrative out for people. So it's kind of like, you know, why not go all in if you can?
And that's why we have the issue with Destiny and the way they did that at first, because it's like, you're a narrative game, technically. I know you're like, oh, that loot and shoot, but you still have a narrative that you should be showing us. Like, the world building should be there.
I mean, that's why you gotta love indie games, because indie games are a great field of, you know, games that can just take it easy and like rely on context in their storytelling. And it's really enjoyable.
Smaller teams have that luxury, right? We give them that brevity or break, right? Sorry, go ahead, Lily.
And indie games also very frequently, and to some people's complaint, some people not, run into the situation where they sometimes come packaged with, here is your art book, here is your music book, here is your game, and here is the strategy guide. There are a couple.
Okay.
Actually, real quick, you guys cover the stream. I'll be back in just a second.
Okay, sure. So let's get back into some of these magazines while we're doing it. got very distracted, which I mean, that's the point, so that's fine.
Yep.
Obviously the classic gaming magazine is going to be Nintendo Power, right?
Yeah. God, that thing is so old. It's
Oh yeah.
insane. Oh, okay. I want to send you this link because I think it does a really good job of being able to see where things have changed over the years. Like when you look at look at the old, like from when it started and the magazine covers. I mean, you can see some of them here. Like that Mega Man was so bad.
Okay, so this is the catalog here. So this was the first Nintendo Power. Was this like little clay? That's this guy here, right? This like little clay guy, and I think that's cute. That's a fun idea.
Yeah, I love this this version of Koopa in the background. It like looks nothing like what we remember.
And if we go to the is this gonna be the last one here? Oh, we still got a little bit more going.
Oh yeah, there's so much, but I mean like that Tarzan one by itself. Yeah, look at these magazines.
Okay, let's get the last one here.
The newest one in 2012.
This was 2012, and it's Shantae. It's a cool game. This is Wii U.
No.
Wii U.
It's just like this really nice 2D hand-drawn stuff.
Oh.
And I remember this cover.
Love this game.
Wow, yeah.
Rayman Legends is so fun. They've got rhythm levels in it. It's so good.
Hello, I have returned.
I'll be honest. I think the death of Nintendo Power signaled the death of physical game.
Well, yeah, because they were one of the oldest and like ongoing strongholds of magazines.
Magazines in general have just started to die in general because of
websites.
The functions of how media has grown and evolved.
I like zines though, like the ones you can get online. Those are cool. Because like you can a lot of little Patreons and stuff do little zines.
Yeah, those are fun.
They're digital, which I think honestly is probably the better way to go. It's less wasteful. We don't need to chop down a tree for information that one person.
What is that one beside the Mega Man one?
Mega Man, literally this one?
Yeah, because I'm like, I saw that about the Twitch or the Switch, and I was like, what the hell?
Nintendo Force Magazine, the Nintendo Power Revival, the Chonzo Project. What are you talking about?
The Nintendo Force Magazine. Oh, spiritual successor of Nintendo Force.
Oh, is this like a website zine?
I guess it must be.
This is new, obviously. This is literally
super new. Yeah, because that's literally this month. This game. Oh, that comes out on 15th too. So stoked.
Okay, NF. The Nintendo Power is no more. The SNES came out in 2012. We're 5th year after 2 successful Kickstarters in 2014, 2015. We made the leap to Patreon. Yeah, okay, so this is literally what I was just telling you about. They have their own Patreon zine. You can get. So and it looks like they sell it by year. So you can see here this one they've got all the zines and like
2021 year.
Digital. $16 for the full year's collection. And like obviously these Oh my baby. How dare you?
Yeah. Okay.
How dare you, Russia?
Gavin.
Yeah.
I am going to turn my camera on because I have brought some props that you guys reminded me.
Oh, beautiful.
Fun.
Hello. You get hand cam.
Okay, let me
So I'm a huge fan of the Castlevania games. They've all been fantastic. However,
absolutely.
There's a game called Bloodstained. Bloodstained was phenomenal. It is something I
game.
love. Real quick, jealous. I got the whole collector box and everything.
I also have that. Yes.
But inside of there, so you have your music disc, you have your other thing.
Yeah.
And they actually pulled an homage. Like
love it. Yeah.
Your controls, your character information. Like they purposely went full detail, and like you get your menus, how everything functions, your different button combinations with stuff. You get like how different crystals and other things function, character interactions. And then in the very back, if it wasn't clear. These are big head. There's secret little codes that you could put in the game.
That's so
And
good.
so it has big head. It gives you also nightmare to instant access nightmare.
Yeah.
And this is new. This is
Yeah.
within the last
Oh, for sure.
3-4 years.
Yeah.
No, that's really good.
and
That's the stuff that I
this is a-
like.
this is a purposeful homage to
Castlevania, at the very least.
not just
yeah.
Castlevania,
Old
but
gaming.
old gaming. Igarashi is essentially the forefather of the
Yeah.
gaming stuff, and
They
I'm
got
just
a
gonna show
stack
this
of
off
nerd stuff in
because
there.
special signatures.
Ooh, you got a very
If I'm going to
fancy
pull it out, I
bloodstain.
have to flex it.
Yeah, you gotta show
Yeah.
some.
I didn't go that high on the Patreon, but yeah, I got that the sleeve and the
Nice,
collector's
and then a
thing.
little booklet too. Yeah,
Then
like a
It's
full
so
book.
this
cool.
is the assorted art books for all the different characters. That also comes with like your pictures of monsters, pieces of lore strewn throughout it.
Look how
all
thick
the
this book is, Lily.
weapons.
Lily,
Huh?
look how thick this book is.
Mm-hmm.
It's for Mass Effect Andromeda, no one's favorite Mass Effect game.
Jesus. They went way too hard on a game nobody liked.
Fair, I assume they expected people to like it.
They were fooling themselves.
I mean, there's some cool characters in there. Like the narrative is still fine. I think it's just it was one of those things where AAA games do not like give games the time they need to be created, right? Like if a game drops and it's glitchy, you're gonna struggle coming back from that. I think like realistically, the only game that's really come back from that in a long time was probably like No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky
and
is nice.
Cyberpunk's doing it now, yeah. But I mean,
I personally never had a problem with Cyberpunk.
Me neither, but people still meme on Cyberpunk, and they have like even now after Edgerunners and all that DLC and everything's more better, just better. People are still bringing up that one. At least with No Man's Sky, it's like, yep, I'm playing No Man's Sky, and people are like, okay, cool, and nobody likes it. The other game that I think that did a good job of coming back from like a bad launch is obviously Final Fantasy XIV, Lily.
No. Final Fantasy had a mediocre launch. It wasn't bad.
I mean, mediocre can be pretty bad.
Let me hope. Let me be happy, please.
Why do you need that? It's doing great. Like it's one of the most popular MMOs out there.
You mean Lily? Do the meme. Do the meme.
Have you seen Final Fantasy with the critically acclaimed expansion Heavensward with up to 120 hours for free?
You can get to level 60 now as the full meme now.
So with that,
so
all
silly.
that, like Final Fantasy is this fascinating, very fascinating experience because I don't think I've ever seen it. I've never seen anything like it in modern stuff. And I don't mean the gameplay, I don't mean the functionality, I mean the marketing functions. So Final Fantasy XIV was a game. They created their own engine. They created this entire thing. They essentially went so high res, it began to look like garbage again. And it worked like garbage. It was super clunky. It was based off of their Final Fantasy XI, which is already clunky. And it took like World of Warcraft inspirations and all of these different things to build it. And honestly, it flopped really hard to the point where like the active like director was like, I can't do anything about this. This was supposed to work and it didn't. And then the current lead design stepped up, was like, okay, you want this game to be a success? We need to do this, 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 and this. They quite literally essentially burnt half of the code. They kept what they had to keep. They literally and narratively nuked the entire world through a in-game event where essentially they lost. The Primal escaped, wiped the world, and it was this entire emotional event where up until the closing of the servers, like the music would play, the sky dimmed, people just stood around and waited for the end. And the cinematic played, and then they were like, we will be back.
That's fine.
A year
That's pretty
later,
cool.
they came back as Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. They retouched the graphics, they refunctioned stuff, they fixed a lot of these major issues, and they
Mhm.
did a absolute full rebranding. And like a lot of the characters made reappearances. A lot of these characters, and then like some of the key characters were gone, and all of these different things. And a lot of people had this like narrative amnesia in game where they knew what happened but they didn't know what happened.
Isn't it
uh
referenced in game like the old lore is like references
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
like it
past?
shows up every once in a
Mm,
while, especially in the early ARR content.
yeah.
uh and look at it now, it has grown into this. Honestly, there is no MMO that does story as good as around or as Final
I could
Fantasy
tell you it's
14.
better than A Realm Reborn. Sorry, I could tell you it's better than New World.
There is no game, absolutely zero game that has done like we've talked about it, where MMOs have this expectation to have their lore built up in game. And Final Fantasy 14 is like the pinnacle expression of that
Mhm.
because they have this very specific RPG story to play through.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, no, they did a great job coming back from a mid launch, right? So just because we are running towards the back end of time, let's try and close this
Yeah.
out pretty quickly here. So
Um.
uh very funny that this popped up in a Nintendo Matter magazine. Again,
Eh.
the fact we
Yeah.
paid for physical media that was just filled with ads is so funny to me. From Nintendo
Yeah.
Power to Shonen Jump, I'm just like, why did I
CDs
pay for
shaped
ads?
this. That's so ridiculous.
Oh, it's such a bad
I
idea.
didn't even know those were a thing.
And you know that like literally it's just like the smallest surface area here is all that they're using. This is just
Oh
extra
yeah,
waste.
because that wouldn't work otherwise.
Yeah, it just tries to read this spot and just cuts the disc in half.
That'd be so weird.
But yeah, obviously
Um.
like Nintendo Power was the classic. It wasn't the only gaming magazine out there, right? Like there are
Oh.
others.
GamePro. GamePro was one I absolutely loved.
Game Pro, this what's this?
They're
1990,
just. Mhm.
1989, dang.
Yeah, no, they're just about as old as Nintendo Power.
And it ran
They
until
didn't.
2011. So pretty I think they almost ran just like a year less to a year longer. So
Yeah, very very similar
yeah, 88.
lifespans.
So they came out a year after Nintendo and stopped a year before Nintendo.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, no,
what was
they
their
were.
focus? Did they have a focus?
They were mostly just games in general.
Okay.
They. I don't remember because I didn't read them for a long time, but I do think they eventually did like go into PC gaming more as that caught on. But I
Yeah.
remember going through them for just general gaming stuff. I remember very specifically one magazine that like back in the 90s that talked about Mega Man X and like little tips for playing that, and they would have like information on upcoming stuff, reviews on certain games, little tips or tricks for specific games. Like I do remember the
Hmm.
Mega Man X one was about how to best navigate the final fight with Sigma.
Nice. Then obviously
Uh,
Play still around, I think. I think they're a web magazine now.
That makes sense.
I don't know of many magazines by name, and I can't remember which one did this, but I
Mm.
think my favorite thing about old magazines and old information places like that
Mm.
is they were so flawed. They were functionally they were people like you and me who would scrounge through this like weird place of information, and sometimes they would get it wrong.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure there's probably a lot of you who have seen this joke or meme, or some of you who don't, but there was an old comic book. I can't remember which Pokemon game it was for, but they were like, yeah, if you do blank, 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 and blank, you can unlock Yoshi as a Pokemon.
What?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so off base.
That's so not a thing. It'd be
Yeah.
amazing, but no.
Yeah, so like even these like old sources of information, as functional and phenomenal as they are, I I'm pretty sure it was like one of the OG like Nintendo Powers
Oh, I
or
bet.
old
Which is
Pokemon
even more
ones.
ridiculous that it was in
Yeah,
the Nintendo Power.
yeah,
Uh,
and it's sort of that like Mew under the bus type rumor thing that like
Need to see the
yeah,
uh,
that's amazing.
gaming urban
yeah,
legends. Yeah.
something like this. Uh,
It's like somebody modding this game back in the day, even before like modding was like a regular thing.
April 1999, Expert magazine spread an article alleging. Yeah, here's the article.
mm-hmm.
Was that an April Fool's Day joke? Right,
I
April?
don't think so.
It has to be.
It says hoax. So,
Like you can't release
oh
something
yeah,
that.
the entire method was an April Fool's Day joke at the very
Yeah, see,
bottom.
like that makes sense. That I
Okay.
understand that, and it's very funny though because like I assume some dude out there believed that to be true.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And
I love that
just,
idea though.
just stuff like that. Like looking back on old magazines is oh my god.
Yep.
Kid Rock versus the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh god, yeah.
Nice. No, like old magazines were wild, and like they could.
Yeah.
People would believe everything that was written in them.
So another thing I remember about old magazines that I love, demo discs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Demo discs.
Yeah, I know PlayStation magazines were. I don't remember which one specifically. I think there were like 3 that I remember, but I think it was like either the official US PlayStation one or the PlayStation official mag. It's hilarious because I think they're the same thing, but they come up as different things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember they would come with like the old discs. I remember getting one for my Dreamcast and being able to play like a bunch of stuff from that. Oh wait,
FF7
no,
was on PC
no, that one
Gamer.
came from a Dreamcast. I forgot I had a Dreamcast magazine.
Hey,
too.
Destroy All Humans. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah,
And-
that was great. But yeah,
And then kind of like pulling away from video games for a moment. Take a look at like old school Shonen Jump and old school.
Give me my
like,
random Yu-Gi-Oh card, please. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic cards, just
I mean, there are still things that do that. Like
they do, but they're so far and few between
this is
nowadays.
true.
They're
Yeah.
usually a like collector's promo product that
Mm.
you have to pick up that will come with the collector's edition card now. Not just I got Shonen Jump. I've gone through half the book and I finally found where they had that like weird, awkward, sticky clear thing, and they would have it stuck to the book. Sometimes the cards would come bent because in transit.
There's this. Oh, it was so funny. I remember getting. I think I got Slifer that way or something.
I got Elemental Hero Stratos, and Gavin and all of my friends hated my E-Hero deck for approximately 1 week until they got better cards.
Yeah. I don't know. The main game I remember from our childhood together was that weird monster creation game.
You always bring this up, and there's 2. There's Tales of Symphonia, which
not that one.
That one's good.
I know it's not that. I know we looked it up before.
Yeah.
GameCube.
Well, you looked that up.
Monster.
Game manuals. We just went over a few of them already. Like there were some classics out there. Obviously, like there's some Zelda there.
Here it is. God, it's so bad. It's called Amazing Island.
Oh, I remember hearing about that one.
Is that it? Yeah, it is. Oh god, this game's weird.
I never played that, but I knew its existence.
So the funniest thing is you could draw the monsters, and basically it would just make like a polygon
nightmare
poly thing to it, and then slap a skin on it.
I remember you and I were stuck on a basketball mini game, and we were like, no matter what we do, none of our things could play basketball. So we just created a really lanky armed, lanky leg thing, and it turned into like a spaghetti monster, and all it knew how to do was hit hoops. It only did basketball.
So cursed.
It's so cursed.
Oh, What a weird game. It's like Spore with Pokemon. Oh,
I like the idea. Like, the idea is interesting.
yeah. It's one of those games where I'm just like, whose LSD trip was this? And also, why does that just look like a Pokemon?
Somebody wanted to make the Pokemon.
Lily, that's just a Pokemon.
Yeah, that's Weasel. Somebody made Weasel in the game.
You know what? That's kind of cool. That's impressive.
Yeah. It's a Weasel.
Such a weird game.
I can't remember if that's the first or second form.
So, gaming manuals. I feel like there's a couple of them that I thought was really good. Like, I remember like the Bait and Kaitos one. I'm just gonna keep bringing this one up. Was one of my favorites.
I'd like to see you double back on that one.
I was like, what? Oh no, God, no.
Yeah. Well, I remember like Sega, like original Sonic had like the whole like intro to like what the game was. Another big one was Metal Gear Solid had like, I can't remember which game it was because I never actually got a chance to play any of those games. But I remember one of the games had like key information in the manual that you needed to use to get through the game.
I know there's the one where you have to like use the slipcase, which I was gonna get to. There's like a code on the slipcase to reach out to your guy.
Yeah, that was one as well. But there was one that was like, it was just in the manual. Like you had to read through the manual to get some of the stuff.
Probably one of the early ones because that's when they were at their most like external crazy attachment stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and then they had some really fun stuff with those games. But yeah, just
is that a game manual?
What?
Oh my God! I imagine Flight Simulator and stuff like that have the beefiest manuals.
They would have to, yeah.
Wolfenstein, nice. But yeah, no, like I mean, some of these things were really cool. Obviously, the physical media of it all was really nice. Even League and War had like a physical little game manual with it. Actually, when you initially bought the physical game.
Okay. Yeah, back in the day.
And we've gone too far from that, except for these two. Look at these three. Look, they're in there. These are all Switch games. Nice. They're fan made ones, but that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Let's see. Gaming books about games. Obviously, every game has their like. But we just pulled out a few. I've got like, I've got a Mass Effect one. I've got an Assassin's one. I've got a Watch Dogs one. Every collector's edition has some sort of dumb book with it.
So I actually bought like there's an actual novel series for the Resident Evil games.
Nice.
And I bought and read those ones.
I have the audiobooks for Halo.
Nice.
There's like 3 really, really good ones, and then like this encyclopedia is probably pretty solid. Legend of Zelda. Isn't the Legend of Zelda like official timeline from a book technically? Like the Hyrule Historia, I think has that.
The official. I do think I remember that.
Oh, the Hyrule Historia is mildly triggering.
Is it because it's interesting, to say the least?
Because it was a fan-made thing originally, and then they were like, this will never be a thing, and then they came out with the Hyrule Historia afterwards.
I dare that.
Oh,
it's the first book in the Goddess collection.
Or at least that's the supposed claim.
Oh, yes.
Oh, it comes with all 3 of those.
That's pretty cool. If you're really into Zelda, I'm sure they're like a...
I actually have one of those.
Yeah? Which one?
Give me one moment to go grab it, because I can't remember which color it was.
Funny thing is, these are all like 6 years old now, so like they're already like a little out of date, especially with the new Breath of the Wild game coming out.
Yeah, but I mean, I think at this point, we gotta... If there is like a timeline, it's a lot more clear now.
Yeah. I mean, Breath of the Wild goes like... Because Breath of the Wild floods, technically, I think is how the narrative connects.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then we know that obviously Skyward Sword is super duper early because it has the creation of the Master Sword.
Yeah,
see. The image. Or not.
I'm giving you the thing you want.
I stand corrected. It was not one of those ones.
Oh,
it was an even bigger book.
Oh.
Yes, we got Skyward Sword. Where's Breath of the Wild in this?
It would have to be like the newest stuff, right?
Does it?
I think so.
Ooh. Oh, that is that's the red book, Lily. That's the second book in the series.
Yeah, yeah, Arts and Artifacts.
Oh,
Very nice.
okay. Then yes.
I
it's so hefty.
yeah, it looks
Yeah,
beefy.
no, that thing's a beef.
I do enjoy the fact that like Zelda games, because they're trying to force into this timeline when it really didn't need to be, as this like weird triple timeline nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, because like these can't all exist in like this single timeline.
The other thing that made me laugh is like, realistically, you could just not have like narratively just be like, yeah, he reverts to yeah, so child era, adult era, right? So you could just be like, yeah, he as an adult he reverts to a child, and then you play through these and then into these. Like they didn't need to branch it in 3 ways, I don't think, but then they're like, let's do it anyways.
Let's fucking go.
Make it even more confusing.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really thought about the timeline. I was just like, hey, let's just play Legend of Zelda games.
Yeah,
the timeline is the thing that I was referring to.
Yeah.
Where
And
a fan essentially created it. Nintendo was like, no, that's not a thing. And then like half a year later, they came out with the exact same timeline.
It's stupid bullshit.
the timeline's so irrelevant though. Like it's so not
Yeah.
connected. The only thing that I can say that are like important to the timeline is like Minish Cap, Skyward Sword. Because that's hat and sword that the hero has, and that's like where those originated. Like some sort of carry through. What's this? Game inserts. So like we'll close it out with this one, I suppose. We were just talking about how the game inserts with secrets. Let's see if there's anything like that. Thanks.
That thing
no.
was dumb.
I don't think that's what that's supposed to mean, buddy. But it's very funny.
Also, it's a fucking Japanese game.
Yeah.
They probably didn't put any thought into that.
Oh, there's nothing super interesting. But we do know obviously the iconic one is.
Yeah, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, like game cases were such an interesting area of like design and secret design. I can't remember.
There's the
if
code.
this
There it
false
is.
Memory.
Oh yeah.
The Metal Gear Solid code for when you want to talk to Meryl.
Mm-hmm. Like they would hide stuff on the cover art, and sometimes you would have to pull the sleeve out of the plastic and look on the back side, and they'd have like a secret code or something like that for.
This is very funny.
That's so funny.
Passage of time. Is that really?
No.
It doesn't really feel like anything.
No.
I mean, sure, he ages. Yeah, that's how games work. I mean, that's cool. Okay. Oh, dang. That's interesting. So, on near each of the weapons here, on this cover for Borderlands 3, so Gearbox released the cover art for Borderlands 3 6 months before the game release, giving fans ample time to comb over every last pixel for the secret. First and foremost, there are numbers included under most of the gold guns, which give you this code, unlocking exclusive code. A numerical code near the bottom is translated to "We don't speak of Sanctuary 2." Ornamented at the far left and far right, cover where's the first Vault Hunter and who's the Destroyer. So this cover is just drenched in like numbers and stuff throughout the whole thing, and it gave you a bunch of codes and stuff. This is the thing that I think is really cool.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's fun. I don't think it's super important, but that is really cool.
Yeah, that's not like a straight up secret, but it is cool.
Okay. Far Cry 4 covers. Okay, cool. So like the statue here is basically saying patience, right?
Yeah.
And this is the game that you can technically just beat by sitting at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that counts as like a little secret.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Very, very
watermark.
Deep. Oh, call me. I love you.
Where's this? That's really funny. Oh,
That's
that's so
redonkulous, yeah.
good.
Wow.
So Nintendo printed that, by the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's amazing.
That's not a thing. They're just
I
wrong. What is this?
oh.
Oh, that's cool. There's a Hitchhiker's Guide, Special 10, designed and directed by Douglas Adams. That's really funny.
Neat. That's actually very cool.
Oh, I had the answer in the back manual. That's really cheeky. But yeah, no, like
Yeah, those are fun.
that was what I was talking about when we were talking about slipcases.
Mm-hmm.
How to add that stuff there, and obviously like slipcases, and I think they are called slip. There you go. You got a bunch. Like they had some really cool stuff on them.
Mhm. I there is a part of me that really misses like old school design stuff because they were so limited in what they could do. They had to be really creative with the stuff that they
Yeah.
did. And that is a unfortunate thing that is kind of faded into obscurity as like AAA games are the primary heading force, where we're now on the 14th iteration of most of these games that are the exact same
Yeah. Yeah.
so there's no point in being creative in some of these new, very manufactured things. And when you go back and look at like these old cover arts, there's so much like love, time, and passion put into them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you still see that today, but it's not like the primary thing. Like every single cover art had very specific reasons why things were done where they were, versus now where it's just the same cover art but slightly different.
Yeah, I think that the games industry is missing out on part of the appeal of games, but I think that's part of the fact.
That's
Like,
where the indie field has really
yeah.
picked it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is just like you can't put super valuable information on the physical media because of how prominent digital is.
Yeah.
Oh
Right?
yeah, very
You don't
true.
want half your player base to miss out on information that they need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's actually a really, really good way of putting it.
It's like,
Yeah, it's
if I bought a
just-
game and like this key piece of information didn't come because I paid same price, full price for digital rather than physical, I'd be pretty annoyed, right?
oh yeah.
Mhm.
You'd have to like give them it in some way.
Like a PDF copy or something.
Yeah.
All right, I think with that, we have gone for just over an hour and 10 here.
You
What do you guys think? Good night, goodbye. I mean, it's afternoon,
Yeah.
so good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good.
feel like we got a good
I
conversation out
think
of
it's time
all
for
that.
me to go to bed.
Mood.
Very fair.
All right. With that, thanks for people who stopped by. What do we want to talk about next week, Branden?
Hmm.
Let's see. We got
See.
science, nostalgia, crowdfunding. Do we want to do science, or are we thinking crowdfunding?
We can do science. I think we might need to like up our
Categories?
ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because I
fair.
feel like just have like I also feel like we don't have to depend specifically on categories. It's like, hey, here's an idea. Let's talk about this thing.
Oh, for sure.
You
I
should,
don't know why. I just thought it was. Huh?
you should
Yeah.
talk about MMOs and different MMOs.
We just talked about game stuff. We'll switch to that. I also would. I literally.
Oh,
would
not
have-
next week. I'm just saying.
Eventually.
Okay, eventually.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We could talk about Wild Rift and how it's dead, and I'm sad about it.
The only game MMO game I'd have anything to say about is Ragnarok. It's literally the only one I've ever actually played.
Ragnarok Online? Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could do one eventually on
Yeah.
MMOs.
Yeah, I'd be interested in like my lack of perspective mixed with your guys' perspectives.
Yeah, like that would actually be a really cool dynamic.
I've
Having like
tried most.
what you perceive as normal stuff in MMOs as somebody who doesn't play it.
A subscription, Lots of grinding.
Based.
Falling asleep.
Click to hit.
Click to hit.
Just
yeah,
put
that
disrespect
could be
there.
fun to do eventually.
Do we potentially, just for context,
want
to consider doing crowdfunding and then specifically on like board games or video games? Like we could pick a topic of that and like dig through history, dig through some active ones, because there's always like 400 active tabletop RPG Kickstarters.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
You have all of your information you need just looking at Kickstarter.
Exactly. The failed one was actually probably like the failed ones that were interesting is probably harder than the other ones that we could consider doing.
Oh, for sure.
Either way, we'll get around to it later.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Thank you for stopping by. See you guys.